Okay, so someone was asking about using different whistles. Instead of a low D, could they use an A or a B flat uh, as an alternative for low whistle? If they, for some reason, they can't do, even with Piper's grip, they can't do a low D. The answer is yes, you can. If you're playing by yourself, you could use either of those. But if you wanted to do it in a session, it gets more complicated, and you would probably have to use a combination of an alto, A, and G whistles. So I've got a low D here, and I've also got an alto G, and I've got an alto A, Shearwater and Carbonease. So if I wanted to do something like Amazing Grace on a D whistle, low D whistle, it's in the key of G, but it starts on the D. So the key of G, I could use that, but if I'm trying to play in the same octave, I only have that. I don't have that low D. I've got a G. So I can't use the same fingerings I normally would, but what I can do is I can pop it up an octave. So I can start on this. So this is G, A, B, C, D. So my D is here. And if you see how high that's getting, like I've only got a handful of notes before I run out of range on the top end of that. But I could do that on here. So, so I can do it on my D just barely, and I have to hit that third octave D, which I don't like doing that. Some people do, and some whistles can do it okay, and a lot of them can't. But if the song, there's a lot of tunes that cover a much broader range than just a single octave, and for those, it's gonna get more tricky because if it's something that there's like so you see that started on the low D, or it immediately dropped down to the low D, and then it went all the way up to the C natural. So I mean that the entire range was used. So on a G whistle, so if I'm doing the, it's that same as that other one. So it's gonna be like. And I have to drop it down. I'm trying to have to get my wires crossed in my brain. But you can see it can work, but I do the first tune, or the first part of the tune in the second octave, and then the second one. So it's different. It's going to end up being a little bit different. I said you can do it, but you've got to fold it. So the other whistle, so that works for anything that ends up being in the key of G, but for D, so like say Sally Gardens. narrow range of notes there, and that started on a D. So on an A whistle, it's kind of like G on a D whistle. So this is plays in the key of A, or the A major scale, or the D major scale. So 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 you see there that you have that option. So it's a matter of range and getting the tunes to fit on there, and you could probably do some half holing, I think, and maybe fit like play all the tunes on an A whistle or G whistle somehow. They're related to D enough, but I suspect that it would be more trouble than it's worth. So I hope that's helpful.